Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. We're here today with another Mindset and Motivation Monday, my favorite way to start the week. Really excited to share with you today the topic of the week, which is 5 signs you need a mental health break or a mental health-based day. All of us eventually get to this point. The trick is being able to see it coming. This is so important. So before you make the wrong decision, before you lash out, before you end up getting sick or run down, what I want to do today is actually share with you just 5 simple symptoms or signs that your body is showing you that you may not be thinking about, because we're going to look at it from a physiological perspective, that your body is saying, you know what, we're reaching our breaking point. The rain barrel is filling up. It is time that we take a step back, that we reassess, that we breathe, that we start to look at what are we doing right now? What can we do differently? So I'm going to give you those 5 signs, but I'm also then going to share with you just 3 simple techniques, just 3 easy techniques that I use in my own life every single time I realize, okay, the stress is built up a little bit too much. Let's take a little bit of a break. Tomorrow's a new day. So I've shared with you many times my philosophy also on mental health in general, meaning when you reach your breaking point, when that rain barrel is all the way full, I look at things differently right now. I say to myself, not every day has to be stress-free, because I think that's an unrealistic expectation, especially if you're going after big goals in your life. Big goals in your life means that you're pushing yourself, your boundaries, that you don't actually know exactly how to get there, which means that you're going to encounter some obstacles and some challenges in your life that you're going to have to overcome. Typically with that comes some level of stress. That's actually normal. You don't usually get more in any type of growth-based pattern in your life if you're not pushing the boundaries of what you already have in your life or that you know. So I'm someone that loves to grow in all areas of my life, the spirituality, the relationships, the career, the body, and the health. So I'm always experimenting. I really am, and saying like, you know, this is what I believe might allow me to take myself to that next level in terms of growth. I want to try to implement some of these things that have not as much downside, because I don't want the downside, but have a lot of upside. Yet I've never experienced it before, so I'm going to have to try things that may or may not work out. And when they're not working out, well, sometimes that can lead to stress. So after a while, again, one stressful day, no big deal, but they start to build up and they show signs. So that's really what I want to go over right now. So let's dive right into it. So 5 signs you need a mental health break. All right, big 5. So the first one is this, and I see this a lot with people in my practice as well. It's well known in Ayurvedic medicine that the Vata body type, you know, the person that's where the nervous system is a lot more heightened, they're going to be more jumpy. So you might notice it in yourself or a partner or someone at work is just like, you mentioned something and they're almost like they're caught off guard. Like their body literally jumps. That's where jumpy comes from. So I can always tell, and I'm again, like, I'm not sharing any family secrets here, but I can always tell, you know, when my wife's a little bit more stressed, because let's say that she's doing something in the kitchen, she might be preparing breakfast for my 2 young daughters, and I'm heading off to work, and I put my hand on her back, and she might jump a little bit, you know, not too much, but a little bit. Now, of course, it could be me. There's no doubt about that. But I can always sense that there's a lot that's been going on that week, or there's a lot that's happening that day, and her mind is actually on all of the different things that she has to do for our family, for our girls, for herself, for her family, whatever it might be. And I know that it's that day that she might be experiencing a lot more stress. So sometimes it's actually easier to see it in other people because it's outside of ourselves. It's very difficult when we're trying to be more self-aware. But on those days, of course, for my wife, I'm just trying to ask, like, hey, what do you have going on? Is there anything I can do to help, if possible? And sometimes it's just, internal that the person themselves are dealing with it, and they're going to handle it. They'll be able to handle it. My wife is always able to handle everything that she needs to for herself or for our family, etc. So, but what about ourselves? That's one thing to look at. Like, how are you reacting? Are you just like, is it almost too much? That's basically what it means. It's like in Ayurvedic medicine, when you look at the Vata, so remember, Vata is not just a body type. It is a movement. It is basically air and ether combined, which means there's a lot of movement. The body can sway one way or the other very easily. So that basically means unsettled or ungrounded. And it's a great way to put it. The Vata is the opposite of the Kapha. The Kapha is grounded. It has weight to it. The Vata is up in the air. The head's in the clouds, right? So what I'd like to share with you is that if you ever feel yourself not feeling grounded, not feeling like there's weight to you in terms of you're solid, you're steady, you're supported, it's one thing to look at for sure, okay? So number 2, moving on to our second sign, is that your appetite is a little bit off. So this can mean 2 different things. One, you have less appetite. So people are like, oh, I'm just not hungry. Well, you might not be hungry because you're in more of that sympathetic nervous system. So you're in more of the fight or flight. Now, you might not feel like you're, anxious or you're running or something's bad's happening, but you might be in a little bit of a heightened state. When you're in this heightened state, what happens is that your body is naturally shifted. So it's called your central nervous system or your autonomic nervous system. And so your body is automatically shifting you more towards the sympathetic nervous system when it senses stress. So that means that you're not in more of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is where and allows for your digestion to become more robust. So if you're not in that, well, you might not be getting the signals that you're actually hungry. This happens in a lot of Vata-based types. Even though their body's more catabolic, they're always running, high energy, and what happens is that it can eventually cause them to crash. So just be aware. Are you lower appetite, or are you actually more hungry and have more cravings throughout the day, even though you already know that you ate plenty of food, the typical amount? Because this can mean that you're anxious. And a lot of anxious people, they don't lose appetite, believe it or not. They can gain appetite. So they're always looking for what? Well, sugar and carbs. Why specifically sugar, carbs, and salt? Well, the salt helps the adrenals. Okay, so salt allows for your body. I shouldn't say it helps the adrenals, but it does allow your sympathetic nervous system to do what it wants to do, which is promote another hormone as part of the sympathetic nervous system called aldosterone. And that hormone actually allows you to get elevated levels of blood pressure for elevated levels of stress and allows you to retain more sodium. Well, the salt is allowing you to do its job, the body's job, right? We don't necessarily want that because it starts to make us more puffy and swollen and higher blood pressure, but it's certainly part of the normal sympathetic nervous system. Now, the carbohydrates, though, your body senses you're in a state of stress, and the only fuel, contrary to popular keto belief, the only fuel you can use in an anaerobic-based state, a fast glycolysis state, a state where your body needs immediate fuel, is to break down some type of glycogen or use some type of carbohydrates. And so that's why your body's looking for that and craving that. And another state or another symptom and reason for this is also that those carbohydrates are going to help with serotonin levels. So it's going to help produce a sense of calm. Plus, carbs also help to decrease cortisol. So again, that's why carbs aren't the enemy, but you just want to make sure that you're not overeating your carbs, that you're actually working on more of the root cause in this case, which is higher levels of stress. All right. Number 3, another physiological symptom that you might not equate to just mental health. Because a lot of people say, well, I know when I'm stressed. I get it, but let's also look at what signs your body is showing you, okay? Because your body is showing you multiple signs. You're on edge, right? So you're a little bit, I shouldn't say on edge yet. I'll give you that one away. You're jumpy, right? Okay, your appetite is off, but also your bowel movements can be off. Well, what does that mean? Well, if you're typically having one bowel movement per day and you're eating the same amount of food and then all of a sudden you don't have a bowel movement one day, well, what's going on, right? What's going on? Well, you just could be, again, higher levels of stress. And the higher levels of stress isn't allowing for normal peristaltic movement through those intestines. bring back my friend here, Walter. So if you're watching this on video, you can see, again, we're looking at the small intestine, which has its own peristaltic movement. But when you're actually ready to have a bowel movement, it's going to be in the transverse colon. So the top of the colon here that runs over the belly button, over the navel, and then down the descending colon. So when you have a bowel movement, you're not removing all of the fecal matter from the large intestine. You're removing maybe a foot or so, maybe 2 feet or so from this large intestine, right? So the descending colon, well, to get the stool there, you actually need a wave-like intersuccession movement of the bowels themselves. And that only happens, and traditionally really just happens when you're in more of a calm and relaxed state. So if you're having too many bowel movements, that can certainly be from nerves. There's no doubt about that. But chronic stress can lead itself to constipation. Okay, number 4 is sleep. You might have thought that this one might be creeping into today's top 5, but if your sleep is off, let's say that you can't fall asleep it takes you longer than 10 to 20 minutes. Well, is there a lot on your mind, right? Is your mind working through all the different problems of the day, or typically chronic problems that it does not see an end to? So one of the biggest stressors on the human body and mind is that we don't know. Let's put it this way. Let's step back a bit. We are most fearful and anxious of the unknown. Okay, so if you are trying to resolve a problem, yet you can't come to its natural conclusion, that's going to lead to anxiety. That's going to lead to fear, because it's fear of the unknown. You just don't know how all of this is going to play out. So that's a problem. It's only a problem, of course, if we look at it that way, but that can lead to a lack of sleep because your mind is literally now head on the pillow trying to work out your problems of the day and your problems of the future that haven't even arisen yet. So this can do 2 things. One, it can make it difficult to fall asleep. I was a complete insomniac for about 27 years. That's the truth. And I was only able to re-regulate that through, good nutritional supplements. I'm not going to lie. I had to use those for a certain period of time to get my mind to turn off. But then I was also able to use the lifestyle to reframe my way of thinking. And that's what I talk about and teach on every single Mindset and Motivation Monday. So that's a longer process. You can't rewire your mind and your thinking in 3 weeks, but you can certainly get there, of course, through good nutritional supplements that are all natural, that give you the melatonin or the L-theanine or the ashwagandha or the phosphoserine, all the things that help you to sleep. So there's one way. One, you may not fall asleep right away, but another is if you wake up throughout the night. You're just tossing and turning, you're restless, you're always waking. Well, that can be you not getting to deeper levels of REM and deep sleep. And when you don't get that, well, you might be asleep, but you almost feel like you didn't sleep when you woke up. You're not rested. And that's because you didn't get into the restorative sleep. So I've done a podcast on how much deep sleep you need and how much REM sleep you need. And you're welcome to go back, check that out. If you head on over to stevencabral.com/1913, I'll also try to link that up today on how much REM and deep sleep you need, actually to help rejuvenate the body. All right, so that is our top 4. Now our 5th one is this, is if you find yourself not just nervous system on edge, right, but actually snappy. So if you are giving remarks back to your team at work, to your spouse, to your partner, to your kids, like if you find yourself snapping, it's just like on edge right away, like, hey, don't talk to me that way or whatever it might be. It's like you ordinarily, maybe you would think those thoughts, but you certainly wouldn't, be so quick to jump back or snap back at any reaction of the day, like something you read or someone says something to you. It's another sign that, listen, you filled up that rain barrel of stress. That's it. You can't take any more. And it's not even just mental, it's nervous system. Like your nervous system, that's why you say, your nerves, well, your nerves go back to your nervous system. Your nervous system can't take any more of this fight or flight. So what it's saying to you is like, we're on edge, and it's showing you it. It's like literally jumpy from the nervous system. The appetite's off, the bowel movements are off, right? The digestion's off, the sleep is off, which is hopefully allowing you to de-stress, right? But you can't because you can't sleep. And now you're snapping back, right? That typically isn't just like one moment. It's like things that built up, right? Again, it goes back to the rain barrel. You filled all of that up. So what do we do? Well, what we do is we start to then begin to reframe and relook at our life. There's no doubt about that. But I agree. I mean, like, I just want to always be realistic. It's so hard to do in the moment. It's so hard to just like stop when you're so stressed and stretched, and you're saying, you know what, I have so much to be grateful for. Like it's really challenging to do that. So what do you need to do? I actually recommend changing your physiology instead of just your psychology when you need that mental health break. I really do. It's just like try it. Again, the next time you're stressed, try just meditating or telling yourself that everything's fine. It's almost impossible. You want to believe it, you want to do it, but your nervous system is all so locked up, and we forget that that's a part of our brain, right? Our mind talks to our body through our nervous system, and our body talks back to our brain through our nervous system. So let's work on the nervous system, and then we can reframe. So this is what I do. Of course, meditation is great. Breathing is even better, but let's combine breathing, which is always a slower breath out than a slower breath in. Okay, so think of it this way, because I've done many shows on breathing, many interviews on breathing. 5 seconds in, 7 seconds out. No need to hold for this style of breathing. There are a lot of different styles of breathing. Just make sure your exhale is longer than your inhale. That's always going to calm the sympathetic nervous system and push you more to the parasympathetic. So do that for a couple minutes. There's no doubt about it. However, let's work on our physiology. So let's get outside in nature. Put your phone away. The world will be okay for a few minutes, okay? So get outside in nature. Now, when I lived in the city, would I consider that nature? No, I would not consider that nature. However, it's the best I had. So I got out of my office, I got out of whatever location I was, and I just would walk and I would breathe. Bonus for putting on binaural beats on your headphones if you have yourself with you. And if I was in nature, I wouldn't do that. However, when I was in the city, what do I have? Cars going by, honking, people yelling. And so what do? Well, if I'm in the city, I want some nature sounds. So I put on my binaural beats and hey, I'm in nature. Well, there's some trees. There's a park. When I was in Boston, I lived right in Back Bay and in the South End as well. And I would just walk over to the Boston Public Gardens, the Boston Common, over to the Esplanade, and it's so beautiful. And so I would just breathe, listen to binaural beats and breathe. And getting in nature allows you to reconnect with the world around you. Because sometimes when we're on edge or we're jumpy, we feel disconnected, right? We're not in touch with those around us. We're not in touch with the greater, bigger picture. So reconnect with nature. Even if you're in the city, get out, take a walk, put on some binaural beats if you're in the city. If you're in regular nature, like I am when I'm in Maine, no need for binaural beats. I can listen to the birds. I can listen to, chirping of crickets and all of that. So it's really, really nice. But again, get out there and breathe. Okay, and walk. So the second is this. Going back to the nervous system. This is really, really powerful. Get a massage or foot reflexology. Now, this may seem very strange to you because you're like, why should I get a massage? Why should I, massage is nice, but there's way more to it. So if you don't know what foot reflexology is, it's essentially a massage for your calf down to your feet. But in your feet, in traditional Chinese medicine, as well as Ayurvedic medicine, everything is like grounding out point. Think of it that way. So you have your entire nervous system, which we know exists. And in more traditional Chinese medicine, again, in Ayurveda as well, because this is taught in Ayurveda, everything grounds out through the feet. So think about it. All electricity, what does it do? All electricity finds the ground, right? And so all of your outlets, they have a ground. So what you want to do is you want to work on the feet. And just, again, if you just take out all of the other parts of the science, just think about it. How great does it feel for a foot massage? Well, it feels fantastic. And so what you want to do though, is you want to relax the nervous system. Getting a massage or foot reflexology, and foot reflexology might cost $30, like maximum. And I know that not everyone can afford that. I get it. I understand. And I've given actually some recommendations at stevencabral.com/resources of products that actually do foot reflexology for you. That's pretty fantastic. So I do believe in the human touch. I would much prefer that for you to get a massage by another person. I think a good massage therapist is amazing because there's a transfer of energy. Now, let's say you can't though. Well, you can certainly grab a foam roller, a tennis ball, and you can start to massage the bottoms of your feet. You can do some foam rolling on your back, on your hamstrings, on your glutes, and all of that is great as well. Again, breathe through the process. The last one is this. There are many tips I could give you, but I want to give you one more tip here today, is take a self-care day. if possible, if you need to, meaning you're just saying, listen, I'm not going to be good for anybody else. Let me see if I can take a self-care day. Now, it might look like this. You take care of your kids. Okay, you drop them off at school at 8 o'clock and you get till 2 o'clock that day. What could you do for that time? Well, you could go do something nice for yourself. You could get a massage in the morning or foot reflexology. You could go for a workout. You could take a nice sauna at the gym. You could go meet a friend for lunch and go take a walk and then go pick up your kids. Like that's a really nice, if you need to take a break, that can be really, really nice. Now you might say, well, I have to work all day. I've got 2 jobs. Listen, I get it. I understand. So a self-care evening, that evening on a really stressed day, this is what I do. So I'll have a bad day every once in a while. And it, it happens. It happens to the best of us, So I have a bad day or just a stressful day. But I realize, listen, I've had stressful days before. This will pass as well. So what I do is just kind of a self-care evening. I text my wife and I just say, listen, today is one of those days. So I go home. I, of course, love seeing my daughters. So I have a nice dinner with them, breathe, try to shut off the phone for the night. And I'm not a bath kind of guy, but I recommend for you an Epsom salt bath, a hot Epsom salt bath to really calm the body. I prefer a sauna. I love doing a sauna. So I would say that the bath is more relaxing. So I recommend the bath. But for me, I like a sauna. So I'll do a sauna and then I'll do a shower, just relaxing. Again, just really calming the body. Then I'll get into bed. I'll get into bed early. So it might be like, let's say 8:30 at night. And then I'll read for a while longer than I would used to read. And again, it's all just quiet and solitude. My wife appreciates that as well, I'm sure. But it's just me, again, calming everything down, doing things that I really enjoy, taking care of my body, taking care of my nervous system, taking care of my mind with reading a good book. It's always something that I enjoy reading, that I want to read, that's about self-improvement. And then I go to bed early. The lights go out early. It might be 9:15, 9:30 that night because I realize a good night's sleep is going to help all of that. So I go back and again, I'll use my nutritional supplements just to make sure I get to bed that night, some liquid melatonin, some adrenal soothe, some magnesium, and that's it. And then I'm out like a light. I'm sleeping great. I might use some CBD oil that night or use my CBD oil probably when I get in the sauna earlier so that it lasts for a couple hours, really calms my nervous system. And then that's it. And then I wake up and I realize, okay, tomorrow's a new day. I'm grateful for this day. And I can look at yesterday with today's eyes. And that allows me to then just reframe my life in general, being able to look at things with perspective and give gratitude for all that I do have. So hopefully today's show was helpful. Of course, if it was, please always do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. And don't forget, every single day, the Cabral concept comes back each and every day, sharing with you all sorts of aspects of wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, functional medicine, integrative health. So take care, have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. And before you go, I want to make sure that you know about this very special offer right now for Mother's Day. Of course, it doesn't have to be a Mother's Day gift, but one of the most popular offers that we had last year to our community was a big savings of $20 on our beauty bundle. And if you've not heard of our beauty bundle before, it is made up of our advanced collagen support, our full spectrum vitamin C, and our balanced zinc. These are items that are specifically used by the body in order to rejuvenate the skin and strengthen the hair, skin, and nails. So what's actually included with these is the advanced collagen support product, which is as easy as using 1 scoop of that in your daily smoothie or in your coffee, your tea, however you'd like to use it. It's almost flavorless. And it contains 3 patent ingredients that have been scientifically proven to improve your muscles, your joints, your skin, your nails, anything that uses collagen. As we age, we start to make less of it. So it's what supplements the body in order to strengthen all of those hair, skin, and nails in the body. Vitamin C is close to 1 gram of vitamin C per day in just 2 capsules. You can take 1 at breakfast and 1 at lunch, and it comes from both whole food, Ayurvedic-based foods, as well as functional medicine-based vitamin C. And that's close to 1 gram a day. So really great product. Love that product. And then balanced zinc, which balanced zinc is the perfect ratio of zinc to copper, and both of those are needed by the hair, skin, and nails. Not just zinc, but actually copper as well. So by keeping those in the proper ratio, we always make sure the body stays in more of an anabolic and a rejuvenating based state. So you get all 3 of these products, believe it or not, for just $79, which is $20 off the normal everyday price of $99. So in my opinion, definitely worth it for the typical $3 a day that it usually is, but now you're getting another $20 off per month. Really great supplement-based protocol to improve the overall hair, skin, nails, and begin to rejuvenate the body. So for this offer, head on over to equi.life while supplies last. Save $20 today. Take care.